action. Welcome to Credit Check. No, I'm just playing. That's so corny. But today I want to talk about credit cards, right? Um the thing about credit cards, man, like they could be a good thing for a lot of people, but it's also a tool that puts people in a lot of debt. The majority of the debt that people have in society these days is either student loan debt or credit card debt because it's so easy to see a high credit limit and think, oh well, I have a 15K credit limit, let me max that out. Or I have a 10,000 credit limit, let me go buy this or buy that. But the thing is, you have to pay that money back with interest. So I just wanted to go over like a few different tidbits and stuff that I know about credit cards, you know what I'm saying? And tips and ways like you can use a credit card to improve your credit. First of all, it's two different types of credit cards. It's secured and unsecured. The secured credit card, if I'm not mistaken, that's something like you basically fund it yourself. Them are the credit cards that I like because there's not a chance that you could spend more than you actually have, right? Because when I was in the process of rebuilding my credit, I had three secured credit cards. One was Self, one was with Chime, and one was with Kickoff. I still love that Self one to this day, man. That's my favorite credit card because if I only have 300, 500, 700, or whatever amount on that credit card to spend, that's all I have. You know what I'm saying? I can't purposely go over that or anything of that nature. So that's why I like secured. Like, unsecured, man, that's where a lot of people debt come in at. You know what I'm saying? Because if you have poor spending habits or you over consuming or whatever like that, and you have $15,000 at your, if you feel like you have $15,000 at your leisure, you're gonna blow it. But you know what I'm saying? Like I was saying, uh, credit cards ain't free. You know what I'm saying? You eventually have to pay that back. Yeah, man, it's a tricky situation, man, because credit cards are very pivotal in today's society, but it's also a debt trap. So my advice when it comes to credit card, only bite off what you can chew. If you know you consistently make your payments by your due date or your statement date, do that. Don't ever try to, you know what I'm saying, think that you can max something out. And if you know you can't afford it, you know what I'm saying, you're gonna get on the cycle of debt, and it's very, very hard to beat that cycle. But I know I'm kind of rambling at this point, but let me get to some relevant information. So it's a myth out there, like if you pay your credit card bill twice, it'll make your score jump up. That's not the case. The most important thing about credit cards is credit utilization. They want you to keep your credit utilization under 30%. Prime is like 10%. Like I try to keep mine under 10%. But yeah, under 30%. So the myth is like if you pay it twice, oh, you know what I'm saying, your credit card, your credit score will jump up. That's not the case. What you need to do is make sure that you pay it by your due date. And for mine example, my due date is on the 20th of every month. Cool. So after that, uh my statement close date is the 26th. The statement close date, I had kind of a little lapse right there. But your statement close date is very, very important. Of course, your due date is important, but your statement close date is, I'll say, a little bit more important because that's what actually reports to the credit bureaus. You know what I'm saying? Like as far as your credit utilization and stuff like that. Let's do some math, right? Let's say you have a credit card that has $100 spending limit on it, or credit limit on it of $100. Let's say over the course of a month you use the whole thing. Well, let's say you use $99, right? So your minimum payment will probably be like $10 or $15, something like that. So on your due date, which is, let's say it's the 20th, let's say you only do the minimum due and you spend that. So by the statement close date, it's gonna report that you still have a balance of like 80 something dollars or whatever. That's why it's more important to make sure it's everything is paid off by your statement close date than it is by the due date. So instead of them reporting to the credit bureaus that you still have a balance of 80 something dollars, if you was to spend, let's say, the whole 100, and then, you know what I'm saying, on your due date, you put the whole $100 back, or like you pay your bill in full, by the time the statement close day turns around, which is like what, 5 or 6 days later, they're going to report to the credit bureaus that your credit utilization is anywhere from 1 to 10%, which is great. And it's going to show that your balance is $0. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the hack. That's what everybody thinks happens. That's what everybody thinks happens when you are when you paying it twice. That's not the case. The hack is actually having your balance as low as possible before your statement close date. Remember them two terms: due date and statement close date. That's why credit utilization is so important. You can have a credit card that has, like I said, a $10,000 credit limit, and you can spend the whole $10,000. It's just before your statement close day, you need to have that paid all the way off. But everybody doesn't make that much money that they can spend that in a month and pay all that off that quick. But like I said, your due date and your statement close date, those are the two things that are